This is Scrooge's deck list. It's Murktide. What do you got to say about this one there, Ross?
And this is how Murktide looks. We see the option for Archmage's Charm that it has kind of waffled over the last month or so. A little while ago, you saw Blood Moon often in the main deck. Now that we're back at Charm, this matchup, I bet Scrooge wishes they were Blood Moons, but there are a couple moons on the sideboard to bring in. And then the major innovation for this matchup that's been around since MH2 is really Unholy Heat. Red decks having a 1-mana answer to Primeval Titan, something they haven't had for a decade of Modern, is huge. So trying to get early Delirium so you can answer a Primeval Titan that might slip through your counter wall can be important. And then applying early pressure like Ragavan can be backbreaking in this matchup. So a lot of great tools here. But the Amulet Titan, known for being very resilient.
I mean, you keep bringing up Amulet Titan like somebody would still be crazy enough to play this deck from 10 years ago. Like, I mean, why are we bringing that up so much? Oh, yeah, that's right. Dom is playing Amulet Titan. Let's take a look at Dom's list. We haven't seen Titan on cam a lot because, well, Dom did not start this tournament relatively well. So, was either 1-3, 2-3 around that area. Ended up playing against and knocking out Kane in the last round of Modern. We stopped in on that match for a very brief minute as Dom's been comboing off. But this is a deck Dom has played a lot of over the course of the year, knows exactly how to play it, the ins and outs of the deck. How do you think the matchup is against Murktide? I truly don't know. I don't play a lot of either of these decks.
I would prefer to be on the Murktide side of things.
Would you?
But there are some aspects of Dom's list that are really appealing for the matchup. Firstly, 4 main deck copies of Cavern of Souls.
That's a good one.
Yep. Secondly, there's a main deck Relic of Progenitus there. I know the art has not loaded on the screen, but
no, that's alt art.
Yeah, it must be.
That's Secret Error Darkness. Yeah.
So maybe you can shut down Delirium for those Unholy Heats, then use Cavern of Souls to shut down the counter spells. Yep. Now your Primeval Titan is landing unopposed, and that usually means the game is over, regardless of what your opponent is doing.
Absolutely. Looks pretty exciting here so far. And we just saw Dom, play masterfully through Pioneer to get there with that enigmatic incarnations. Absolutely love that deck. And then what did Scrooge play in Pioneer? Did we know?
Scrooge's list in Pioneer was Rakdos, but didn't have to play much with it, just the 3 rounds yesterday.
And will not have to play with it at all today. So really impressive stuff. And then as far as legacy decks, I believe Dom was playing Initiative. And Scrooge, I don't think we saw a ton of in the early rounds.
Not sure what Scrooge was playing.
Not sure about that. Maybe our director can let us know so we can paint you that full picture. But yeah, this was the really nice aspect of this tournament. Players didn't just play Modern. They didn't just play Pioneer. They didn't just play Legacy. You had to play all 3. And as these players, have played all that matches, none of those matches matter as much as this next one to see who takes the trophy. The players are ready to go. Let's head to our grand finals.
Scrooge really doing their work in Modern so far in this tournament. Dom really doing his work in Pioneer. Went 3-0 at the end of day 1 to make the second day here, and now undefeated in Pioneer on the second day. But he's going to have to get it done in Modern in the finals, where he's taken a couple losses. But this is a deck he has a ton of experience with.
Absolutely. And we see our director is just such a zoomer, getting that Amulet out there. All the cool kids say it, so we gotta group them in with the cool kids. Both hand cams working for our grand finale. And a reminder, everyone, Dom does have to win too.
And not a great hand for Dom here, really. None of the namesake cards, no Amulets, no Titans. But it does have an Urza Saga that can, make a few threats, can potentially find a Relic of Progenitus that disrupts the graveyard and draws an extra card. Multiple copies of Azusa isn't great.
The extra copies of the Legend, not ideal?
Now, that said, looking on Scrooge's side, not a ton going on here either. A couple Dragon's Rage Channelers, but you're pretty far away from Delirium. Don't really have a consider. Don't have ways to fill the graveyard for that Murktide. This Urza Saga threatening to find that main deck Relic is going to be very good against this hand.
Yeah, holy cow. But I mean, honestly, that's kind of just like a Band-Aid, right? Like you turn it off once and then they just rebuild, especially with 2 DRCs. But
but that's all this deck needs is time.
That's true.
Once you get enough time, these Primeval Titans and Cultivator Colossuses are going to say, I don't care about those DRCs. It just needs
time. It needs Primeval Titans as well.
Yeah. There it is. There's a Primeval Titan.
All right, what's the play here from Dom?
Dom could go for an Azusa here and develop his battlefield a little bit more, develop his mana, really. Yeah. And that's what he chooses to do.
Yeah, this is Titan next turn, right? With untapped land. Didn't you have to play? I guess you don't have to play Sanctuary. Dom's trying to save that so he can just Sanctuary,
Yeah.
Sanctuary, Sanctuary,
Yeah,
and
it's
just kind of pop off.
Gonna plan to get an amulet off of that Urza Saga, which is typical.
It's kind of looking like it's gonna work.
Well, there is just a counter. There was a counter spell just drawn,
Wow.
so
Wow. Okay, do we have Cavern?
we do not. We have a Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, which is good with your other ramp creatures, but not good with Arboreal Grazer and Azusa.
And we can't cast Cultivator Colossus and Prime Time, right? But you can cast one of them.
So we can have 2, 4, 10 mana available this turn potentially. That is not 13.
10. Yep, you're right.
And notably, playing the second Azusa does not let Dom play 5 lands in a turn. That is how these cards used to interact, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But,
really?
Yeah. You used to have to announce that you were playing it as one of your extra lands, and then playing a second copy of Azusa and keeping it would give you more extra lands that you could use. Now the game effectively just keeps track of how many land drops you've made, and then you can look at your different abilities and say, how many land drops am I afforded? And,
man, I could play so many extra cards off Fires of Invention when I Yorian it out then, huh? Like, this is a new Fires. I'd like to play the Wandering Emperor.
that would allow Azusa to generate 1 extra mana if the cards worked that way, but not the case. So I think we're just going to see one of these threats run into the counterspell, and then
play the next one the next turn, huh?
Yeah, it's all going to be about what comes off the top of the deck. That said, we got a lot of looks if you're Scrooge because of these Dragon's Rage Channelers and their Surveil triggers.
You're the only true Scrooge here. Scrooge McMarion.
That is what no one calls me.
All right, gonna see what Dom decides to do. Dom, excellent player, not only in just Magic in general, but has been playing Titan on the SCG tour when that was a thing for so many years. Was starting to commentate for them as well. That's kind of how I met him right when I moved here. Won Players Champs through that tournament. Just a nice guy.
Yeah, I suspect what we will see is
there any way we can get like Teleria West to go get a Cavern here? Any of that?
Can't generate double blue,
yeah, there's just no way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it would be tap Teleria West, Sanctuary, bring it back, play it, tap again, but then you can't bring it back. Yeah.
You can't have 2 blue and Teleria West in hand. So I suspect we will see a second Sanctuary play here. That'll get us
go for one of them and then just play Valakut probably.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you want to keep Sanctuary in hand.
Yeah, because you have the Azusa and that generates so much mana with Amulet. If you're an aspiring Amulet player, this is something I see newer players of this deck not quite understand. They try to get these bounce lands in play really quickly.
Yeah.
Which is usually what you do when you play them in fair decks.
Yeah.
But in this deck, because of this sort of synergy between Azusa or Dryad of the Elysian Grove and Amulet of Vigor, you often do want to keep a bounce land in your hand.
Yeah, how many fair decks are you seeing with these bounce lands? The old Celestia Sanctuary beatdown deck.
I can remember when they were in Standard, so we played a lot of fair decks with them.
That's true, that's true.
The old turn 2 Signet, turn 3 float 3 mana, play a bounce land, compulsive research, discard the land I just bounced.
Ooh, fan me down. That sounds glorious.
Yeah.
Now the only time that I see those lands in play is when I do Commander versus. Those are in like every Commander deck I learned.
Okay. Counterspell on the Cultivator Colossus. That's the one Dom decided to go with. I think that's the lowest leverage one.
Yeah.
With only 2
Prime
lands
Time
left.
wins the game. Cultivator Colossus isn't even that good here. It really is just counter bait.
Yep.
It's gonna work. That's considered to the yard. Shredder to the yard, so this will be a blind draw off the top.
Yep. And with 3 types in the graveyard towards Delirium.
There's the Molten Pinnacle. Do you attack?
No.
All right, is it a counterspell? Bobble, okay. That's a lot of redraws.
Yeah, that's 3 redraws.
The only thing better than that was counterspell, but that takes a few looks. All right, so pretty likely to be able to find Delirium here because the Bobble allows it.
The Bobble's just going to give us Delirium. So that might be Bobble into a counterspell was actually best possible.
Yeah.
It would be because
100%.
that's Delirium plus an answer to the Titan. That would put Scrooge firmly ahead and leave Dom needing to find something, whether it's Cavernous Souls or another threat.
Did Counterspell just enter the graveyard?
No, that's the one that got cast last turn.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I think we left on top on both triggers.
Okay.
Because it was Shredder consider on the first 2 triggers.
See, now the Bobble, you got to sack it now if you want to attack. I guess you can attack and then be like, you want to block with that Azusa? There's no Delirium. I won't sack this Bobble yet, Dom. Have no fear. And then it's just Scrooge in the corner, like, sacrifice bubble.
No blocks from Dom. Ball will get sacrificed. So Scrooge is going to know the next card that Dom draws as well.
It's got to be a counterspell, right? Maybe
That's for
Unholy
Scrooge.
Heat. Like, what would you not surveil away from Scrooge? You know?
Yeah, it's really just Unholy Heat and counterspells.
Yeah.
And I might even
get
greedy.
Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like there's definitely, if you prime time here with Azusa and Amulet, it is not outside of the realm to just go get a Simic Growth Chamber, start returning that TUS, and just do it again in the same turn. So one removal wouldn't do it.
Ooh, I think we are also going to be casting a Murktide region, so definitely not an Archmage's Charm on the top.
Well, it's definitely not Unholy Heat now, or it's going to be a baddie.
Yeah, I think we might have found just a second counterspell.
Oh, we still have 2 mana available. I thought we were tapping down to...
No.
Yeah, okay. If it's not counterspell, I'm going to riot, because that's the only thing that would make sense.
Oh, we're going to bolt the Azusa on upkeep. Okay. So this will...
Doesn't prevent it. You get to play another Azusa and then play Sanctuary 3 times.
Yeah, doesn't know about the other Azusa. Yeah, this is the exact nightmare hand for this play, is green bounce land, Titan, second Azusa.
Yeah.
Because if it was Summoner's Pact, you have the Pierce.
Yeah.
It has to be actual Primeval Titan and the last Azusa.
To be fair, it was 2 more lands on top that both got surveilled, it looks like. So there would not have been a counterspell drawn here, but as it stands, I'm pretty sure it's time, prime time. But is it lethal is the real question. Think we can present 16 damage with the double strike land, but Murktide can block, and I think Dom can stay. Well, oh, this is the same. Yeah, because you got the castle that kind of adds 2. So yeah, you get this. You first give it haste, and then maybe you give it double strike. Maybe you can't even do that.
Well, you could have if you had not played the Beseiju. So you could get Boros Garrison and Slayer Stronghold.
No, it doesn't matter. It's still the same, because regardless, you go Azusa, you play 3 Sanctuaries, and then you prime time, you use up all your land anyways, or you play Beseiju and then 2. It's the same, except you get a Beseiju in play. So there's no way Dom could have generated more mana with any line.
Yeah, the problem here is that he's not going to be able to generate the Sunhome with 4 mana to double strike.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that either. So, oh, well, maybe we're still live here. But now it'll come down to Dom's second activation of prime time will be one of those defensive ones. So I wouldn't be too shocked to see like Simic Growth Chamber and Bajuka Bog or something, you know?
Yeah, could find a bog to try to prevent Delirium for these DRCs next turn. I imagine...
Like, Delirium isn't even a big deal, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have the Grazer to block Murktide. You don't really care. I think the number one thing you want to care about is being able to cast another prime time.
Could also find a Cavern of Souls so that your second prime time is uncounterable.
Yeah. Well, first one has to get the haste thing. It's either Slayer Stronghold
and Boros
Garrison.
Oh, and just
I don't think that was GG.
Well, even if you find Delirium, it's not lethal next turn. It probably is.
Yeah. I don't see a draw that could have got Scrooge back in, but still, maybe, play it out a little bit. That's all right.
And okay, game 1 of match 1 to Dom Harvey. Primeval Titan coming down. The second Azusa coming in clutch there, too. There's only 2 in the deck, so if you're Scrooge, you got to feel like, ugh, my opponent's hand was just exactly perfect to punish me.
Yes,
exactly. Dryad would not have been good enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. Like, Scrooge, in hindsight, made the incorrect line, but the correct line would have been put that to the graveyard, see Island, put that to the graveyard, draw Steam Vents, lose on the spot. So it just truly didn't matter. Bolt did save the lethal this turn. Yeah. Because you would have had that extra mana where then you could have double striked and at least presented 16 damage where Murktide was a chump blocker. So that still did a thing.
Yeah, dealing with the Azusa was reasonable. Okay. Checking out sideboards for Scrooge McDuck. We've got those 2 moons, Magus of the Moon and Blood Moon, both going to be very important.
Magus of the Moon probably even better. Like, they have the Beseijus, but they do not have a way to deal with Magus. Maybe a Dismember or 2, but...
Yeah. Then we've got, Brotherhood's End could be good for sweeping up multiple amulets.
Dress Down's a slam dunk.
Dress Down is definitely very good. Fury could be a reasonable answer to Dryads, but it's sorcery. Probably not.
Subtlety is awesome.
Yeah, Subtlety is excellent. We got, countering those creatures through Cavern.
Yeah, you probably want to get rid of all your bolts, your spell pierces, maybe Archmage's Charm.
Yeah. The soft counters can be good against Summoner's Pact, but These decks are
Yeah.
not nearly as reliant on Teleria West and Pact as they used to be. There's actually
Yeah.
only one Teleria West in Dom's list. Used to
Interesting.
be a stock 3 of. Lately,
Yeah, that used to be the main plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just have enough because Dryad is a threat as well as a ramp spell. You just
Yeah.
don't need as much of the Teleria West game.
That makes sense. It is just 3 mana sorcery, search for something that then you have to pay for later. It's a lot of hoops.
All right. Now let's take a look at Dom's deck list if we can. Dom's got some interesting ones. I'm looking at the text version of the sideboard. We've got that Wormcoil Engine and the Kura, the Boundless Sky, could potentially come in as additional threats. The Tireless Trackers I really like in matchups like this. Endurances and Dismembers.
Yeah, Wormcoil, that's an interesting one. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we do have a mulligan here for Scrooge. But on the play, plays a Ragavan. And a reminder, everyone, if Dom does win this, Dom is up a game. We'll get that updated on the tracker there. He's got to win another match. Another match of Modern, to be exact.
Yeah, he is 3 games away from being your champion. Scrooge only 2 games.
Yep.
But this turn on Ragavan not met by an unbeatable Grazer, and that means this is looking really good for Scrooge. I like their hand. They've got a counterspell. They've got more pressure. They can answer, an early creature with this Unholy Heat. Whereas Dom's hand is really awkward. The only green source in it is Cavern of Souls.
Do you play the map? You get to surveil off DRC, and then you can get a land if you don't have one. It's actually pretty tempting. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I would.
Time to do some exploring here, DRC.
You don't usually expect to hit cards you're going to cast in this matchup.
No, you do not.
Vin's and Mishra's Bauble, so that's going to add Artifact to the graveyard for Delirium. There's another Primeval Titan. Not great.
Okay, there's the Bajuka Bog. Yeah, not an amazing hand there by any means, but Cavern on whatever Dryad is, you probably do that, and then you can always bounce it for later, to try to get that going. Yeah, you can actually bounce at the turn. You Cavern for Dryad, play Boros Garrison, return Cavern. That's a pretty cheeky play.
The Expedition map can also find the one Ottawara if you need another piece of interaction.
Yeah.
That could come up for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Relic, get it in there. Steam Vent's tapped. I won't take 2. Untap. Spire Bluff Canal. Thank you.
Is 1 mana worth of Surveil here? Probably.
Yeah, it just depends what you do. You're like, yeah, who's the Amulet deck now? Okay.
Then to consider. We'll rebuild our graveyard a little bit here. Dom needs to find an Amulet. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see the Urza Saga last turn, but I guess we'll see an uncounterable Dryad this turn. Yeah. I imagine we'll play Dryad into Saga so that we can get to Amulet of Vigor quickly.
Yeah, I think that is a speed thing here. And now, yeah, this counterspell does nothing. The Unholy Heat doesn't do it yet, but probably will be able to find it here with this Consider, with maybe Archmage's Charm to draw cards. At this point, I think I'd give up on Archmage's Charm being a real card. The only thing I would consider is trying to hit a Relic with some ability on the stack, but even that, they're going to get 1 activation of it. So you're not beating the first one, because the first one, the ability will still stack. You just shut it off from there, which is not nothing. But is it worth 2 round-up cards? And you get to use your mana a little more efficiently? I don't know.
Yeah, you throw away the treasure tokens if those are valuable, but I really just want to get to Delirium so I can Unholy Heat this.
Yeah, I think so. Dryad is so brutal.
Yeah. This is such an awkward mana base for Dom right now. If I'm Scrooge, I'm smelling blood in the water, and I want to end this game. And especially so with Dom at 15. So if you can find Delirium this turn, get the Dryad out of the way, you've got a 3-turn clock.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Looks like Dom thinking about what extra land he wants to play on this turn.
Turn Timber Symbios is also an option. Kind of a weird one, I would think. Yeah. That's probably the least one, but Boros Garrison to pick up Cavern seems to make a lot of sense. This locks it up where if Dryad doesn't get killed, you have an uncounterable Titan next turn.
Yeah.
Which is just good enough. And even if you do get it killed, Endurance pitch Turn Timber Symbios to prevent the Unholy Heat here could be game breaking.
Well, you got to keep the Symbiosis in hand as your second green source for next turn. So you probably have.
You don't need it. You have Dryad.
Oh yeah, the Dryad. Dryad just fixes everything.
Yeah, right here. This just looks like Dom's game to lose.
Yeah, Dryad just fixes everything. So yeah, the Endurance really going to come up big.
Mm-hmm. Here goes the map being sacrificed for Murktide, the common play we see. Yeah, I mean, unless they get Ottawara here, They did not. That was
Misty
kind of the
Rainforest,
card.
yeah, they wanted to get a land in their graveyard for Delirium.
Yep, that makes sense. As they draw Fiery Islet. Now, this being said, you can just Archmage's Charm the Endurance and just counter it. You can Unholy Heat Dryad,
Yeah.
counter Endurance, and then at least Titan's not available. You're pretty much out of gas at this point, but I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, you'll get 2 Surveils at that point if you can find something else in those draws and an Islet draw and a draw step. So you see 4 cards.
You'll get Surveils, but these cards will be going away. So you get to just manipulate and draw your best card, essentially.
And if Dom goes for the Endurance pitching the Symbiosis, he might leave himself without a second green source once you counter it and the Dryad dies. So
yeah, okay.
Because without the Dryad and the Symbiosis, then you're stuck on the 1 green source with the Cavern. So yeah, this turn is going to be really important. There's a
cool game.
Couple of ways to play it. I think we got to kill a Dryad.
Yeah, agreed. So there's Delirium. Got to go for it here. Now we're going to see if Dom even wants to Endurance, you know?
And I think you definitely do. It's just a question of which do you get aggressive with the card you exile?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you do as well, but I think it's actually worth considering, because if there's any counter spell here, it's going to work. But what else are you doing with it?
Yeah, I think Dom thinking about the Endurance here.
Yeah, and it's either Endurance, pitch, Primetime if you think that there is going to be a way that this Dryad is going to die. And if you don't think it's going to die, you keep Titan, but this is a little bit of a safer play.
It's just the Primetime.
Yeah. Boom, countered, killed.
Now we get to attack for 5.
Third time in a row to get a hit that you want to play off Regavan, maybe?
There's a Dryad.
Oh, they already played a land. I was going to say, Dryad.
Forest to the draw.
Gonna be a sad turn for Dom.
So we can play the Forest, I guess, and keep the Turn Timber in case that's relevant later.
Or Saga. But yeah, Saga doesn't produce Titan next turn. And as it stands, here comes 5 more damage. There's probably going to be an uncounterable Titan that's going to resolve after that. And then Scrooge is going to attack it back with DRC. So any kind of bolt in the next couple turns or Murktide, I think locks this up.
Yeah, because the Titan is not great, right? It doesn't. We don't have an Amulet on the battlefield.
Yeah,
so.
You can get Vasuva to copy Bajuka Bog to ground the DRC, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
Yeah,
and not with Murktide being a draw.
Expressive Iteration off the Fiery Islet, so we're going to fire that up first. Still have 3 mana available with the 2 treasures in the island. The 4th mana coming once the Rogavan connect.
Yep.
So we could even find a counter spell here to back up the Murktide and have it super locked.
Well, there is a cavern, but yeah.
Yeah, but Dom's going to need something on top of the Titan.
Oh, you're saying for the next play? Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I don't think there is a next turn. I think Murktide, put 5 here. Murktide in for at least 5 power in the air. Titan's not enough.
Now there is a copy of Radiant Fountain in Dom's sideboard. Could potentially go up to 7.
Well, if Murktide gets up to 8 power, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think it's there as long as you play it. Yeah, I was gonna say play that.
With the second DRC too, the Regent only needs to be,
I think I'm gonna safely say it. Dom's dead.
5 power. Yeah.
As long as we play Murktide here. If you don't play Murktide, this game could definitely spin out of control for Scrooge, but
I think that is exactly what Scrooge is doing right now.
Yep. Looks like a lot of cards in the graveyard are being selected at the moment.
Yeah. Pretty slow hand from Dom. Very much was relying on that Dryad living, and Scrooge able to find the answer, and then the answer for the Endurance. And,
yep.
Along with early pressure, that was enough.
Looks like it's going to be one game here to decide if we're going to be playing another match or if Scrooge is going to be our champion.
Yeah, back against the wall again for Dom. But he's been playing back against the wall for about 4 rounds now and has been coming up with the goods. Gets to be on the play here for game 3 of match 1.
For 4 rounds? What are you talking about? Since round 4 of yesterday, Dom has been playing with his back up against the wall. You had to be X3 to get in there. Dom was either 1-3 or 2-3 and just had to win all of them. Had 1 match to give once you get to today. Lost it pretty early. Used that up. Yeah, and then just, rallied back.
Yeah, so he's won, I think, about 8 or 9 matches where if he lost, he was out of the tournament.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. That's why Dom tried to lose early to get the back against the wall where it's more comfortable, you know?
Yeah. You know, so some people just like to feel something.
Yeah, absolutely. These players are going to get all shuffled up. Any kind of changes you make going into the third game, or is this not really a play draw dependent type change?
No, not really. I
Yeah.
like the bog. I like the endurances. I think the trackers are good as like a small ball threat. And I'm not sure how much I like the big threats, but they're definitely an option.
Yeah. Worm Coil, the other dragon. I kind of forgot what Kuro did. I know you've already talked about it, but yeah, okay. Just a big creature that dies, creates something else. That is weird to
Yeah.
me. I'm not sure what that comes in against, but
It's a big flyer that can potentially check a Murktide region.
yeah, I guess if it's gonna come in on any match, it's probably here, right?
That seems like a pretty good.
It just seems like a Dom nonsense card that he just added for the memes, you know? Just straight for the memes. All right, looks like
Always.
match is starting, so we're gonna head on in. All right, final game. Let's see. We got a
Uh,
Blood Moon
Only one land.
and a
though.
Megas of the Moon, but a Consider and a Bobble. I mean,
No.
YOLO?
Um,
I mean, first you get to go Bobble yourself before you fetch. If there's a land on top, say go. And if not, you get to fetch and Consider right away. And all you need to get is land 2. I'm snap keeping that, actually. Like, if I'm not
Yeah.
keeping that hand, my name isn't Corey B.
you even got a subtlety that can stop a Dryad, which is their way of
Yeah.
getting around it.
Yeah, this hand could be GG. But speaking of a way that, Dom could survive with all mountains, good old Wormcoil engines in there.
Yeah, Sakura Tribelder can get us a forest.
Oh, Steve, what you doing?
So,
Hanging?
With the mana in this hand,
That's a saga for Blood Moon, though, too. That's a not so great one.
yeah.
This is going to be an interesting game. Exactly where
Okay.
Bog is most efficient. Turn 1. Target you.
I would have targeted myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to
The
let
self-deprecation, huh?
I just want to let my opponent know that I see all the lines.
Oh, big brain.
There's
big
a land,
brain.
a snow-covered
Snow-covered
island.
island.
That's a great draw.
That's perfect. So yeah, you target yourself. If land 3 is on top, like your turn. All right. This is going to be a very interesting game where it could, and by interesting, I mean there could be no play whatsoever from Dom. You never know if the Blood Moons like truly just become that big of a problem. What are you going to do? So likes the card, draws a land, I'm guessing. Okay, another Consider. That's reasonable. All right, basic forest off the top. That's a pretty good draw.
Yeah, that's a big draw because now the Tribelder gets you a second forest, and you can tighten through the.
Yeah.
Through the
All of
moons.
a sudden, those moon plan is not very good.
That's only fair. One player draws a basic, the other one draws a basic.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, Consider finds a Rogavan.
Not going to be good next turn, but not terrible. We got Bins
like
and Bobble.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but probably didn't keep the Rogavan there, so I imagine
No,
that was a
didn't
random
want
draw.
it. Yep. Okay, pretty solid draw. Do you play Ragavan and Consider here?
I don't think so.
I think I would. I think I'd go Ragavan, say go, and have Consider. I think you just need to use your mana here. You think your opponent's going to sack that Sakura
Yeah.
Tribelder anyways. So just
That's the thing that they might if you don't play the Rogavan. Now
Yeah.
they definitely aren't.
Yeah.
Steve stays in play. Ooh, and there's a Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
Big draw.
So we could play Urza Saga, Dryad. And
Well, that was punishing for playing Ragavan. Not countering a Dryad. Well, this is, so far, it's just been every draw step that Dom has been the worst possible for Scrooge.
Well, I think what we're going to see here is a
Subtlety.
on this, but we still have the forest to recast it.
Yeah. You're going to lose a land. The saga will go away. You got to remember that. So, and Sakura Tribelder can't really sack and get dried unless you sack it right now.
Yeah, you actually do deal with the Dryad because you either or the Rogavan trades for the Tribelder. If you attack, either the Rogavan takes it off the top or you shuffle with the Tribelder.
Yes.
So you'd have to take the straight trade.
You have to take the straight trade. And actually, yeah, even if there is a Blood Moon, Dom can go just Simic Growth Chamber. It's a mountain. And then play Dryad, but then that's it. So we'll see if that's even on top or bottom. And also, you just need the land. You still need a land to be able to play Blood Moon. Dryad goes to the bottom.
No third land for Scrooge, so not gonna
Blood Moon just
Unless
yet.
this connects, of course, which there's no way humanly possible, but that's huge. Now Saga gets an activation.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And now, do we hold up Counterspell? Do we Iteration to try to find lands? Opponent is short of Titan mana, so I think this is an Iteration
I think
turn.
you have to.
And we're on, what, Creature, Instant Land, Artifact. So there is Delirium for Scrooge. That Unholy Heat can take down a Dryad or a Titan later in this game.
Yep, that's big game.
Could even end up taking down that Wormcoil Engine. At least
The
splitting in half.
old-fashioned way, yeah.
Just cleaving it in twain. See what this iterate looks like. Iteration put another iteration in hand, exiled a Shredder, so didn't hit a land off the iteration.
Oh my god. That's backbreaking.
Tom Harvey using his powers of witchcraft.
No kidding. Once again, just opponents just mulling to oblivion and stuff like that. No big deal.
Yes, what sorcery is this? And there's a Titan off the top, so
Expressive Iteration was the sorcery they drew.
yes.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, now I think you just need land 3. Otherwise, you just have to go land go. So then you got 6 drops to worry about.
Yeah, so this
But
one-
Blood Moon still double strip mines essentially next turn. Because it turns that into a mountain. And if Bojuka Bog goes back to the hand, that'll be turned off. But now Urza Saga does have a blocker for Regavan. Dress Down being the card. It's a good card, but you're really looking for land here.
Yeah, Dress Down could get the Ragavan through, and then if you draw land, you have land treasure for counterspell.
Oh, yeah?
Risky line, but
Dress Down's ability of getting a treasure.
oh yeah, Dress Down. Is fine.
yeah, they would stop that too. So you can Unholy Heat the token and then have 2 mana available. And
Yeah.
then if you need to do something, you do that. If not, you just hold that treasure for Blood Moon. I think that's the only thing you can do, but you're giving away your Unholy Heat.
Yeah, but I think that's what you got to do.
Because Dress Down paired with Unholy Heat on a Wormcoil Engine. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be a neat answer to the powerful artifact. Okay. Yeah, Unholy Heat on the Construct token.
Okay.
And Ragavan gonna connect. See if we can get a trap card off this Ragavan.
Yeah.
No, it's Valakut.
Valakut. Yeah, what if you hit like the one of like, T-West or something? That would actually be pretty big. All right, now let's see what the turn is. Draws Amulet. What does that do? Because you're going to find one Amulet? I guess you can only just like bog a few times.
But it lets Bog just generate another mana, so the amulet's free.
Or do you get Relic?
Not well. You have Bog, so I don't think you need Relic. I think this is second
Touché.
amulet. Float a colorless, get an amulet, use the colorless, play an amulet, play a Bog, make 2 mana off the 2 amulet triggers. Now I've got 6 mana for a Primeval Titan. And you're like not even that concerned. I guess the problem then becomes, what if that gets countered? I need to draw land because now I just have 2 amulets in play and 5 mana.
Yeah. But yeah, what are you gonna do at this point? Okay, so there is the map.
Dom decides not to get as aggressive about it.
Okay,
Instead,
and then can bog and then sack the map.
yeah,
That's gonna be relatively good news for Scrooge, I guess, because now you can for sure get a Blood Moon down, but I don't even know how great that is.
well, Blood Moon, will, it's not even going to keep him off of. Oh no, it will keep him off of Titan mana, right? Because this is 5 in play. You'll go down to 4.
But you're gonna map for something, right?
Yeah,
down
that only gets
4.
him up to 5. So
Okay.
the moon will actually be quite good.
But goes for the end of second main dress
So
down.
needs to hit a land.
No, Regavan will connect.
Oh yeah, because it's second main. Okay.
Yep, good play there.
Yeah, good timing on the dress down.
Yep. All right, not sure what they drew yet.
And they continue to brick on lands. And if they do completely brick, the counterspell is going to be bad because Dom can just search for.
Well, what if Blood Moon's in play?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got the rock.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
It has.
All right, so yeah, hand viewer not necessarily updating correctly here. So Magus of the Moon comes down. That's going to turn some lands into mountains. What do we get off this map? Is there any good land that interacts with Magus? Is it just forest? Is that the best possible one, I suppose?
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything. Now you don't want to get a cavern because cavern won't actually even name a creature type because it's a mountain. So not
Yep,
sure
gets
what.
forest.
Yeah, it has a third forest. I guess that's just the best one.
So yeah, I mean, as it stands now, all you can just do is if you're Dom, just land go. Unless you draw something, maybe you can pass.
Yeah, you could pact for like a tireless tracker.
Yep. But yeah, doesn't even. Oh,
What are
we're
we getting at?
pacting.
Oh, we're getting Kura?
Kura, you're right.
The Boundless Sky?
Oh baby. Oh baby.
I have a 4/4. How about you?
Wow.
And even if you kill it, it's going to make another blocker. So
Yep.
yeah, this should blunt any attacks that Scrooge has. Going to need to find Unholy Heat with Delirium or a.
And that's to deal with the first creature.
Murktide,
Then
yeah.
Wormcoil is coming next turn. Then Prime Time. You know, like there are a series of haymakers that are coming down. This Blood Moon was a little late. You
Yeah.
really needed it to kill that Saga to not allow the artifact. The artifact found a land. It was indeed itself a land. And you know, that whole Scrooge missing a couple land drops there was absolutely backbreaking.
Yeah. The Saga also making constructs to check the Ragavan, forcing the Unholy Heat. All of that, with a third land on time would have been resources saved for Scrooge to deal with these follow-up threats.
Yeah, and it was a one lander kept, so you got to put that on Scrooge, but I totally agree with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree too. So we do find a land, a Steam Vents that is now a mountain, so don't have to pay the 2 life, it just enters untapped. Still plenty of cards in hand, but now that Scrooge is stuck on 1 blue source, so the counterspell is completely turned off.
Yeah, the Blood Moon's basically only. I mean, I shouldn't say only hurting one person, but yeah, okay, that's right. You do have to pay here, so that's a little bit of a relief here for Scrooge. You can at least top deck a land next turn, and maybe interact in some way. But other than that, how do you beat this card?
Well, a basic island here is probably the start.
Yep. I'd recommend a snow island, but sure.
And
7 cards. Yeah, our hand is not updating for whatever reason. And viewer was pretty good so far this weekend, but not perfect. We'll try to get that going even better for...
This is trying to build suspense.
It really is, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the last match of the year.
Can't hold anything back now.
Yeah. The drama is coming full bore.
Absolutely.
Wow, these sideboard threats look like they might get Dom into the actual final match of the season if he can take this game. For viewers just joining us, your bottom player is the winner of the top half of our double elimination bracket. Has yet to lose today, so Dom is going to have to defeat him in consecutive matches if he wants to take home the title.
And I've seen this a lot for the Pro Tours, the Arena Pro Tours that I commentated for this whole year. Oh, well, there is Second Island.
And snow cover, just like you wanted.
That's perfect. So for those tournaments that I had throughout the year, that's how they did it in the early phase, was you have to win twice. Not a single time have I seen, wow, what's going on here? Just to get Delirium?
Yeah, is this a Lightning Bolt or a Unholy Heat follow-up?
Possibly, yep, sure is. So 3 cards. I think that iteration is still in hand, and the counterspell is, and the Blood Moon. So I think that's our hand as those 3 cards. But yeah, what I was saying is, not a single time did the person that had to be defeated twice were they ever defeated in the time that I've seen it. So, Dom could be writing history here.
So now we are delirious for the DRC.
6/6?
Yeah.
Is this equal to your land?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
Unbeatable Grazer.
Game's over. Time to move on.
Okay, so I mean, we're going to see either Primetime or Wormcoil put directly into the bin with a counterspell.
And at this point, if I'm Dom, I'm throwing the Titan away first.
Wait a minute. Hover over that spirit token. Does it have text?
No.
Oh, so it's not dress downable, huh?
Nope. It is just a 6/6.
Just a 6/6.
Does not change.
XX works as the number of lands you control. I don't know how that works. Normally that stuff, like Construct, is the same, but...
Constructs are 0/0s with an ability that says they get +1/+1 for each artifact.
Okay. Alrighty. So here's this. kind of up to that 6/6 and a worm coil. Do we attack? We sure do. And it is just a 6/6 now. It does not get bigger.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. We should all know exactly how this common modern staple works, but it was modern staple Kura. Huh?
Okay, so that's another flyer that can start doing some things.
Probably discarding Blood Moon, I think almost assuredly.
Ooh, there's a Murktide Regent.
Okay.
That might be a little slow, though. So if we truck in with everything...
Well, Magus just gets blocked with the old Grazer. Yeah, this is still a game.
We just cast the Ragavan normally?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we dashed it.
Nope. So we know we have Murktide, and we don't know for sure about Counterspell. That one has been taken away, and I would highly doubt it's in hand. Yeah, when do you jump?
Now.
Okay. All right, here's the worm. Well, Dom definitely does have a plan B to Blood Moon, which is pretty impressive. Snow-covered island off the top, and that updated, so I'm starting to believe that that Counterspell is real.
Yeah, but was just short of casting it last turn. Decided to go with the Shredder instead, and Worm Coil Engine is a major punish.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that could have been GG in the other way if that Counterspell was aimed at Worm Coil. If it's indeed in hand, who knows?
Now, you can't double spell for the Shredder. Do we want a Murktide? Do we want to hold a Counterspell? Probably don't have another big threat, though the Tracker is a solid card here.
Yeah, everything's coming up Dom so far.
So
looks like we might have ourselves another match.
The other awkward part of this now is that Worm Coil plus that token, that's lethal. So you got to worry about the crack back. Are you chumping with... I guess we're...
Can Murktide get big enough to eat the spirit?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and then maybe that pairs...
Well, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll get us to 7/7.
Just enough. Okay, then, you know, this Worm Coil can connect, gain 6, so Dom's basically at 16. But then you can chump that worm for a while and start attacking with big chunks in the air. This is definitely just still a close game.
But we've turned off Delirium, so the DRC is now...
That's a tracker with a mountain in hand.
Yeah, normally having the bounce land with tracker is
That would
great.
have been insane, yeah. But might as well start with that, see what you can find. Crazy game. Very not normal game of Murktide versus Amulet.
Not a normal game of Amulet.
Yeah.
It's Amulet Titan, not Amulet Engine.
Yeah, that's true.
Amulet Dragon.
Amulet Kura Dragon.
Amulet, let's play, what is it? Momir Basic, but only with green creatures.
Yes. Momir Basic is like my favorite format ever, by the way.
Yeah.
I loved it. So fun. All right, here is a counter on the old Trackerino. And another mountain. Dun, dun, dun. Brothers War limited unstoppable bomb right now. Did you know Worm Coil is in, bro? Because why not?
It's in limited. It's not in standard. It's part of that, like...
Yeah.
Weird
Good
cards.
point. Good point. Yeah, so they can play with it, but not do that. Okay, counterspell off the top. So now you have the option of, I don't know, cry? I would start with crying, and then I'd go from there.
I would opt for the same.
Yeah, I think start with crying and then just see where you can go from there. It's a solid play.
Murktide doesn't even attack. That's a bad sign.
It has to stay back to block the spirit, and now the tracker is just too large. There's a Dryad. Doesn't do a lot.
Dryad coming in after the Magus will stamp it.
It will timestamp it, but you don't need colored mana anyways right now, so if you draw and you draw land, then you get to reclue. It's kind of cute. And there's a lot of land in this deck, believe it or not.
33 in the main, I believe.
Yeah, and there is. Colony Garden. So Dryad plus Garden, sack again, spin again. More generic medium creatures. Oh yeah, of course we have the counter.
This one needs the counter spell for sure.
Okay, what are we gonna find?
Land goes to the bin, it looks like.
Looks like it.
That reestablishes Delirium for the DRC.
Okay. still looking for some way to deal with Worm Coil. Maybe a Dress Down. Dress Down would be insane. Dress Down and then just block with Murktide.
Yeah. And that's probably something Dom is thinking about right
Yeah.
now. Can I afford to get this thing eaten by the second Dress Down in their sideboard? Because I've already cast
at
one.
this point. Yeah.
Only one card in their hand. Probably just have to jam.
I think so too. How else are you winning this game if you're Dom? I mean, I guess with just more lands and
Yeah.
prime times, but
Easy for us to say, of course,
yeah,
from where we're sitting.
Dom's no coward.
There we go.
There we go. Now what are you jumping with? Oh. Okay. I kind of like it. It's done its work.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Colony Garden will create a plant now.
When we eventually cast Avenger of Zendikar.
That plant's getting swole.
Yeah. I like how you know what that card does now because you play Commander.
Exactly. Yep.
Would've
Hey,
been-
I used to play that in Teamer. There was a Teamer Lotus Cobra, Jace the Mind Sculptor deck that I won states with once.
Oh yeah,
I played a
I
couple
played
of
that
those.
deck.
That was sweet. All right, so you got to get in there with that. I don't think you can really get in there with anything else. DRCs say go counter something. That's not it.
Yeah, the counter spell is a little bit too late here. Scrooge just light on mana in this game. Captain one lander, tried to draw out of it, was unable to do so in time. Likely end up. Oh yeah, make a plan.
There's Cavern to prevent any shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans afoot.
So this Vesuva entered the battlefield as a mountain and never got to copy anything. So the Vesuva doesn't tap for any mana.
I've never seen a Vesuva in play as a Vesuva. That's awesome. That's
So
a win right there.
We'll try to keep track of that. There's an Amulet of Vigor. It doesn't do a whole lot at this point.
What a sad Vesuva. All right. If we can deal with the worm, this battlefield is stable, but they're running out of time. And now Tracker is actually going to be starting to become a problem as well.
Yeah, Tracker is what, a 6/5 right now, 7/6 next turn. That is big enough to rumble with the Murktide. So next turn, we'll probably see that Tracker come in.
If you're hearing any sniffing noises out there, that's because
That's me.
we have a new commentator. If we want to flash to the booth real quick, we can show off our new commentator that is got here. We got a trio here, so if you hear any sniffing, it's definitely Ross. So you can head back into the match. Everyone's got to have a puppy cam. All right, and there we go. Just in time to come back. We're going to come back to us for just a short amount. Us 3-person commentating booth. Henry, the camera is over here. You have to be looking at the camera. You look in. Okay, close enough.
Yeah,
Close
he does not
enough.
want to do that.
He does not care. So that's Dom taking it down in our first match here in the grand finals. Now we're playing the true finals. Now it's just one match. Winner takes home $10,000. And yeah, we're going to take a short break here.